Okay, well, I think we can get started. Thank you, everyone, for joining this project showcase, OER to reduce students, that's not giving me the whole title, student costs and share undergraduate research. We're going to have our first group. It's going to be Dr. Cindy Greenman and Dr. Eric Esplin and James Richards from Utah Tech University, who are piloting a project to replace inexpensive inclusive access materials with an OER textbook that showcases their Gateway Accounting Program courses. And then after that, we will be joined by, my window's getting in the way. There we go. After that, we will be joined by, sorry, tech problems. University of Utah faculty, Dr. Annie Fukushima, who's been working on Pressbooks, and Annie, I'm sorry, will be joined by Kishan. So I will turn the time over to our Utah Technical University group first. And they'll each have about 20 minutes to share their presentation, and then we will have questions and answers at the end. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Can you hear me okay? So let me just get started by maybe just explaining how we started on this journey. About 2 years ago, I was the department chair of accounting, and the provost has really been promoting OER in classrooms as a way to reduce costs. And we teach accounting 2010, and then we teach accounting 2020. And between both sections, 2010 and 2020, we use McGraw-Hill Connect for both of those classes. And it's around $120, I believe, per class that students are paying. So $240, $250 is their total cost to get students through 2010 and 2020. And we run, I think we did the numbers, Cindy and James, was about 30 sections in total.
Right, yeah, if you run, we run about, I think it was 20 sections per year, if you include the 2010 plus the 2020.
Yeah, so 20 sections per year, average class size, say 30 students, 600 students, if I'm doing my math right, times 250. What did that come out to?
James had the numbers.
Come on, we're all accountants here. We need to have these numbers here together. So
I'm putting you on the spot here.
You're great at $125 per book. We have $75,000 per year. Yeah, that students are paying for textbooks just for one of those courses.
Yeah, so that was sort of my initial thought when Emma, and then Emma came. I think when she first got hired, correct me if I'm wrong, Emma, on my timeline, but I think you came around to each department and just said, I'm going to help with OER implementation, and if you have any questions, let me know. And so I just went to her and said, hey, this, I mean, just cost savings alone, this seems like if it's something you can help us pull off, like this is a huge cost savings for our students. And so that was the initial kind of beginnings of working with Emma and then we decided that we would first do 2010 and then we wanted to get that one done. And then once we get 2010 fully implemented and switched over, we're going to then work on 2020. And so that's, I think the duration of our time that we have is maybe just talking about how we've implemented the 2010 and how we worked with Emma. And then, we're planning on doing the same thing starting in the fall for the next section. I don't know, James or Cindy, do you want to, what am I missing? What else do you want to discuss?
Oh, that was the gist of it. I mean, our main purpose started like Derek said, it was all about the cost savings for the students. So we decided as a group, we would kind of divide and conquer. So we kind of, the three of us kind of got together, and Emma was, Emma is our hero here. She did so much of the legwork. We kind of had her say, okay, give us a list of textbooks that would be possible. And she went right to town, gave us a whole list of different textbooks that we could utilize. And then the three of us kind of went through them and kind of figured out what was out there and what would be most useful for us and how we teach things. So we kind of looked through and went through all of the different chapters. We found the textbook that we all kind of agreed, yeah, we think this one is going to be the best. It implements really well with our LMS system. And so we kind of went with that one. And then our next step kind of was, we broke down all of the chapters to see, okay, what exactly do we want in here? What do we not want? And once that was completed, then we turned the whole thing over to James, who is, he's running the pilot course this semester. And then we'll go full on with every single 2010 class in the fall.
And then we'll start over and we'll start this whole project again for 2020 in the fall, and with the idea that we'll select the materials, find the materials in the fall, we'll pilot in the next spring.
Yep.
With the hope that fall of 2025, we can fully implement both 2010 and 2020 completely OER.
Love it. So I just want to share just a minute about some of the advantages and disadvantages of doing the OER textbook and process, and then some of the challenges that we've had along the way. So it was a great process for us to say, well, I guess initially for some of the first challenges we've had, we've used McGraw-Hill for many years, and they have integrated their systems into Canvas and into many things with our courses. So it's been convenient, but there's certainly always, with any type of a canned textbook and problem sets, things like that, that there's always limitations. And so I love doing things hands-on, and that's how I learn well. And so that's why I've tried to design courses. And so this opportunity to gather sources that are open from all kinds of different areas was a huge advantage for us, I think, as a department, to be able to say, all right, we can have some consistency in textbook, we can have some consistency in problem sets, make sure learning objectives are always the same, of course, but it gives some flexibility to bring in other sources of maybe some very short instructional clips, or some sort of other resources for projects, for case studies. And so that was fun for us to be able to say, all right, this is what we want. Emma, our OER librarian, was able to just pull resources all over. And that was pretty eye-opening to me, to see how much resources there are available to us for OER. And that was really fun. So we got together again, as Cindy mentioned, we put learning objectives, we essentially decided what we wanted to do, and then built a Canvas shell. And we've kind of used that Canvas shell, and it's evolved a little bit throughout the semester we've gone on. So we're roughly, 2/3 of the way through the semester about. And when we took it, I designed it into things that we're going to do before class, during class, and after class. And then before class, we love activities like that are encouraged reading, such as a pre-class quiz based on that. And then in class, that gives us the ability to share some of the textbook materials and assignments. And then after class, we can do kind of some wrap-ups. So it's been interesting along the way of saying, all right, this has worked and this hasn't worked. And there's certainly pieces of every chapter that I'll probably adjust next time going forward. But our goal will be, after this first semester, this pilot class, we can have a firm Canvas shell that then we can distribute to all the faculty that will use this. And that can be the starting point kind of for what we'll do and implement going forward. So it's been a great process. It's been challenging. It's been eye-opening how much OER resources are available to us, and then pretty phenomenal to be able to show to students and staff and faculty how much the cost savings really is with being able to bring this in with resources that are equally as good as these big publishers that we've all used forever, and with truly more resources than one publisher can provide alone. So it's been a great process.
I don't know what else. Yeah, I mean, that's just sort of the beginning to end of where we're at, and we're right in the middle of it. we do have, if anybody's interested, we could probably pull up on the computer screen, what the course looks like. And if we want to do that for a few minutes, we certainly could. James, would you mind doing
happy
that?
to do that. Yeah, let me just share that really fast here.
Yeah, in the comments they're saying yes, please.
Okay, let's do that.
Go.
And if there's any questions as we're moving along, yeah, just put them in the comments and we can address them as we go rather than having to wait at the end if that works.
So here's a student view look of what we've done. And this is, we designed everything. We went through a neat, during pandemic or post-pandemic, we had the resources to develop online courses. And so we went through a big instructional process with Accounting 2010 and 2020. And that gave some good structure for those online courses. And then we've kind of adapted that or implemented that rather than just course-wise. We use modules as a consequence for that. So we have a module for every chapter. Every chapter can, depending on the course, can have a little bit different length for us. But we'll look here at Chapter 3 module. We have before class activities, during class, after class, and then all kinds of additional resources. Before class, again, we try to encourage some sort of reading, get you into the textbook, as we all know, get them into material so that we can make the most of time in the classroom with them so that it can be more discussion-based, example-based, working through casework together. We've used the OpenStax textbook, and that's been great. It has the key terms have been huge. And then we have that quiz. Then during class, we've developed kind of our own, or I've developed some class notes, just an outline that I use for every chapter. And that's been a great resource. And again, we can utilize those or make sure those are available, open to other professors and instructors as well. But that gives kind of an outline that we go through in class, gives a resource for that. And then we, after class, either have various types of chapter homework or case homework that they can work through. And then we have these fun thought provokers, we have study resources, we have supplemental videos, depending on each chapter, each module that we can add. So it's been awesome to be able to say, all right, Emma, we need a problem set. What available resources are there? And she's been so good at helping us understand, opening our eyes to what is available for us. So this is just how we've designed this in Canvas so far, as we have these modules for each chapter with all the resources we want. And then each faculty has the ability to certainly add to, adjust each of those based on whether or not it's a 3-day-a-week class, a 2-day-a-week class, or other resources and experiences that they have to bring. Other questions or anything else anyone wants to see in Canvas? It's pretty straightforward, nothing incredibly exciting, but just nice, organized material for us.
And that case, just to reiterate, James, that case is something that you've developed previously, right? And that was something that you've embedded into the class. So in addition to the OER, we already had some stuff we were using previously, and so that it's easy to do that, to just and really we believe in accounting by doing. So if we can just get the information out there and then really practicing how to do journal entries or how to do the accounting cycle. And so the cases have been really good with that. It's like, here's the book, here's the kind of the canned problem sets, but now take that information and let's see if you can actually do it. And so that's been really fun to watch. There was a question.
Yes, Emma had a question. How are the students liking the text?
That's a great question. I think that it's been interesting. This semester alone, I have numerous sections of the same course, and one is OER and all the others are old textbook. And so it's almost been more interesting for me to see their comprehension, where those that, almost a blind study, those that have it and those that don't have that. And I feel like the quality of classroom discussion is much better in the OER class than it is in the others. And part of that is because we're not trying to follow a specific script. We are having the ability to kind of adjust and modify and go as we do a little bit, rather than feeling, all right, we've got the exact same resources in every section that we're offering in this class. We have to make sure that we follow every example to a T, and so that everyone is equally prepared. But I feel like the quality, at least of discussion from the textbook or during classes, has been a better discussion, more inquisitive, rather than asking questions about, leading up to the exam or leading up to a specific quiz, something like that. So that's been fun. It would be very interesting, man. I wish that there was a student that had, I shouldn't say a student that had failed and then take the class again in the OER section and see what their experience was different. But I think overall, it's just given us more ability to adapt, to adjust, and to feel comfortable doing that. And I know that we're always encouraged to have that autonomy, but it feels nice not to have to follow such maybe a very specific script, but work and focus on. And something I said before earlier, another OER discussion, it allows us to teach the students rather than teach material. And I think that's kind of a fun process for us. Other questions at all that we can answer about our course structure in Canvas or any of our assignments?
Yeah, I just had a question just generally. So accounting, the ones that you adopted, right, would be for all business majors pretty much be required, right, to take this course. As you get in more into the advanced concepts in accounting, so let's say, for example, if you decided to continue to pursue OER, and let's say, for example, an auditing class, is there any barriers you think to scaling this up as you get more into the, maybe technical aspects of different areas of accounting?
Yeah, I can actually speak to that one. I teach audit here, and I've been in contact with Emma to help me find OER material to teach audit, and there really isn't any. There's really no OER textbooks per se, but if you wanted to pull together bits and pieces of material, you would have to compile it yourself. So I went ahead and did that for not my audit class, but I also teach the forensic accounting and fraud class. So for our master's level advanced fraud examination class, I went ahead and did that, and it's all my own compiled material. As far as time consuming, I would not suggest doing that. That's kind of my passion though. So it didn't seem like a lot of time to me, but it really was. So I feel like there is kind of a hole there as far as the advanced classes. But hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully it is a growing movement and we get more and more material so that, it is accessible to people. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay.
Similarly to, and I mostly teach upper division and master's tax classes, and we have not used a tax textbook ever. And part of that, I feel like we've had great support from our college and from the university of giving us the autonomy to be able to use what we want, what resources we want. So following Dr. Greenman's remarks, yeah, it's as you all know, it's very time consuming to pull together cases, examples, and other resources, but because of that, we don't have any course fees in any of those upper division or master's tax classes other than CPA prep courses, which we get at a phenomenal discount. But we have the ability to use actual practitioner software. Most practitioners make that available to us, and then also just through case type study development. And that's something that we've had kind of as just a long history here, and what was a great something that attracted me to the university. So it's a lot of work, but I think that it's pretty well understood that it gives you great autonomy and then ability to teach in a way that you want to teach, but also to teach as application-based as possible, hands-on learning.
Mm-hmm.
And just to add to my 2 cents, I teach upper division, a couple of upper division courses, and well as master's courses, and I don't have any intention at this point to move away from the publishers and the books that I'm using. Kind of what Cindy had said, I just don't, the courses that I'm teaching, I don't think the OER it's worth the time investment. And the tax side, that's been phenomenal, but I teach cost accounting, intermediate 2, and then in the upper division advanced cost, and it's just you're right, there is a limitation on what's available once you get beyond. I mean, 2010 and 2020, we were surprised pleasantly so at how much material there is, and I'm fairly certain we're going to find the same with 2020 once we get going there in the fall. And that's kind of the, the cost savings. If it's 75,000 a year, like that's huge. I mean, students at $250 in a year in an academic year for textbook versus now maybe they've got some food money or date money or whatever the case may be. So that's we're really excited about that aspect of it.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We all really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for participating. I'm going to move to the next group from University of Utah. We have Dr. Annie Fukushima, who is the Associate Dean of Undergraduate Studies. And then we have Kishan, who's the Publishing and Presentation Specialist. And they're going to share using Pressbooks for undergraduate research conference proceedings. So I will turn the time over to them. Thank you.
Thank you. And do I have the power to screen share as well?
You do.
Oh, wonderful. And Diana, I just want to compliment you for being the best audience member. I feel like your enthusiasm is incredibly encouraging. So I just want to thank you for that. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Isabel Fukushima. Kishan, do you want to just say a little quick hello, and then we'll kind of talk a little bit, and then we'll hear from Kishan a little bit more. But Kishan, please say hello.
Yeah, hi, I'm Kishan. I'm a student at the University of Utah, and I'll be going a little bit over what I do with Pressbooks. So yeah.
And Kishan, do you want to just say a little bit about what you're majoring in and all of that? I think they'd like to know who you are in the room. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm in my last year in my undergraduate career, studying computer science with a minor in chemistry. I'll be continuing a master's in computer science next year, graduating next spring, and then hopefully applying to medical school. So we'll see.
Wonderful. Thank you for introducing yourself. So as you all heard, I'm the Associate Dean of Undergraduate Studies, and I oversee the Office of Undergraduate Research, where we support student and faculty collaborations with research, where we involve our students in the research enterprise. And it's super cool work to be doing. One of the things that I came into and that we know with students, as well as with the research experience, that it's one thing to do research, but it's another thing to actually start to disseminate your research and share it broadly. And so we do things such as Undergraduate Research Symposia and our journal publication that has been around since 2001. And actually, the Office of Undergraduate Research that I run first was formed in 1987 as UROP, it was Undergraduate Research Opportunity Program. And since then we've grown. And so lots of our dynamic offerings have grown as well. And so they started the journal as part of the supporting students with research dissemination in 2001. At the time it was called Undergraduate Research Journal. And it was actually, if you all remember, the kind of readers that people would go to a print shop, print it out and disseminate it that way. That's what it looked like. It literally was just a printout reader that was then archived in the library that students could access. And it was just abstracts, which is great. It was a great way to archive our student research. I think that one of the things that we found, though, is by 2015, so this is predecessor, they moved it from that print form to then just being a website. And I'll just show you what it kind of, the effect of it, because, I think this is really important, is to just see what it looked like before. Is then it went from, the readers to then being this. Well, actually, this is not it. It was this. And so people would then go to our website and, find all this stuff. You'd have to click through and all of that, and it'd be a PDF page and all of that. And, that's not really findable. And it's not really easy to archive. And so when I came into the office in my leadership role, one of the things I wanted to solve was, well, how do we make this thing that looks like this more findable, more functionable, and more shareable? And so we had a previous leader that was helping us define different options and researching what was the publication formats that other universities were using. And then we met with the libraries and they're like, hey, did you hear about UEM Pressbooks? I think it will solve what it is that you're trying to do. And we're like, tell us more about it. And so then what we did then was, this is our most recent issue. We then moved our entire journal to then, we renamed it Range, Journal of Undergraduate Research. Research, and then started actually having it so then folks could actually publish both research abstracts, thesis and articles, as well as research reflections. So you'll see like there's like different research reflections by students here as well. So if you want to know what the student experience has been with research, you can also find it in here. And so this is what we move towards and have been doing it for a few issues where we've now been using UEM, the press books, as a platform. And some of the exciting things that we found is that, so in our last two submissions, we had 266 student contributions, right? We have deadlines twice a year. And, you know, I think that one of the things you should all know is that when students submit to this journal, it's part of their fulfillments to get the Undergraduate Research Scholar designation, which is great, shows up in their transcript. But we also were finding that actually, you know, and these don't look super impressive because you're like, oh, it's the highest impact when you first share it, which totally makes sense, right? People are resharing it at that moment. And so we're starting to see that within the first to second issue is that both within the first 2 weeks in page views, that was actually, there was growing interest in the journal and that our students were resharing it. And that's what we love about UEN and using the press books is that it makes it easy not only for us to have this beautiful downloadable PDF that students can reshare, as well as something that we can link up on our website, but also that they are able to reshare it on their social media if they wanted to. It makes it much more easier for that. And so this is one thing that we were sharing, we wanted to share with you all is about our experience using press books, and that, you know, the future plans is to maybe move towards more thematics. Right now, if you look at the journal, and I'll go back to sharing with you what it looks like in the actual journal, is that you'll see that it is more of a, oh, did I minimize it? It'll be just a second. And so what you'll see is it's actually college-based. You all understand, at the University of Utah, we love our colleges. We have 18 of them. It's like states. There's so many of them. They have their own, you know, rights and all of that. And so it's currently organized by colleges instead of by thematics. And our goal is in the future is to reorganize it by thematics. And one of the things you should know is the press has a student editor. Kishan represents that, and a staff editor. Jennifer Santiago couldn't join us today. But maybe I'd love in this moment now to hand it over to Kishan. And Kishan, if you could just share what it's been like for you on the student as the editor. Kishan takes a lot of the menial tasks of starting, you know, he does a lot of work for us. And so Kishan, tell them about it, what it's been like for you to use it, to do this. And yeah, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Fukushima. And so, you know, as a student editor, it's really, really, as a student myself, it's really great to see like a lot of these student submissions and student research being put in a platform where many students can view them all in one interface, right? And so my job as student editor is to take all these written up reports and research reflections that the undergraduate students have submitted to the office and to put it in UEN Pressbooks. And working with UEN Pressbooks has also been really, really, really a lot easier than working with, you know, other many other PDF editors. And, you know, so it provides a great interface in terms of making sure a lot of the formatting in terms of text, styling, and images are all the same throughout each of the submissions. And also, you know, I think it provides a clean look for each issue. And so I think it's great. And it also gives us statistics. So as a student editor, I mean, I've seen like many what's it called? Many viewers when we first upload the issues. And it's really, really rewarding to see like a lot of the work being useful and a lot of people being able to see what my peers and their work, the work that they've done and being able to share that. And so I think it's really, really, really awesome and really rewarding. And, you know, I've also had the opportunity to go through many different undergraduate research projects. And I think, you know, going through the task of uploading each student's research like summary or reflection, I get an opportunity to look at it and see what my peers are doing. And it's really, really awesome to see that. And so, yeah, I mean, UEN Pressbooks, again, is a great way for our office and for other students like myself to see research being published in sort of an official in an official manner. And so, yeah.
Thank you, Kishan. So the journal is archived with the university. We let the librarians know about it. And then some of the things that, Kishan's been sharing is like, yes, it's really cool to see all these student perspectives about research and what they're doing. And I think it's a really great archival material. So when we think about what students are doing in research, we really want to know, like we want to be able to look back as well as be able to document what's happening now. And I just love this platform for that, as well as that people can search and find things within it. And it can be more easily now stored within our library, which, yeah, as you can imagine with the printout books and then a website, really difficult to archive websites because they literally can go away in a second. And we've been learning a lot about that. And so it's been really awesome working with a student editor like Kishan. I think that's really important to have students involved in your work, as well as to have staff part of the process. And one of the things folks should know is our faculty are our reviewers. So I'm not an expert in engineering. Kishan might be. Kishan knows way more about engineering than I do. But, we have our own expertise, and there's stuff that comes in that I'm like, I have no idea what this means for dentistry, right? How do I evaluate it? So we have the faculty serve as the reviewers to ensure the quality of the content that's being submitted. We right now don't have resources to do copy editing. We are very stretched, very thin. So you may find typos in the journal. And so we just want to say, I was trained in editing. We are surrounded by typos. You'll find them even in university presses. And so just as an FYI, we are surrounded by them. So we do our best to kind of do a quick look, but we are not copy editing at a close level of the student. And maybe in the future, we can grow those resources. So if there's a donor out there that would like to pay for our copy editing fees, we would love that. And so that's a little bit about the journal. I'd love to hear if there's any questions or thoughts about this, any conversation around this. Yeah, so I'm going to now open up. Thank you, Kishan, for sharing your perspective. We could not do this work without Kishan. So just so you know, Kishan is a vital part of this process. We need Kishan. So thank you, Kishan. Yeah, folks, questions, thoughts?
I did have a quick question. Moving towards the thematics, is that to help encourage maybe interdisciplinary work at the university?
I want to move towards thematics because I think that right now it serves more archival, and then there's nothing other than undergraduate research as the theme that connects them. And so I think if there's a way for us to also then form thematics within, that it might encourage people to read other students' contributions instead of it being like, oh, I'm an engineer. Sorry, Kishan, I'm picking on engineers today. And so it's like, I'm an engineer. I'm not going to go look in science, or I'm not going to go look in medicine, when in fact, they actually may have some shared interests that they may not know about. Right now, what I love about the press books is you can search keywords. And so people could search for keywords and find themes that way. But for the reader experience, we also want to be able to curate that for them, so they're not doing the work of trying to find the things for themselves. So that's something I want to think a little bit more through. But I also don't want the colleges to lose, because again, it's 18 states. We also don't want them to lose, like, oh, how many of our students are submitting and publishing? Oh, look at that, a pop art color, we've got lots of contributions, right? So we don't want them to lose that enthusiasm of seeing their students and being able to easily find their college representation, which is something we're trying to figure out still. And I've been attending events today, and I just want to say there are so many features we've not been using that I'm like, I know for our future issues, I'm going to be, and Kishan's already been receiving emails about it, is like, we need to include this thing into it's just amazing what this platform can do. So I just want to thank folks, but thank you for the question. Yeah. And I think it will facilitate more interdisciplinary, but also I think, yeah, interdisciplinary and how people find content. So they themselves may still maintain their disciplinary boundaries, but they may be able to read across more widely.
Thank you.
Other questions?
So I have one for Kishan, thinking about from the student perspective, right? So this is using press books, which is WordPress, style format. But when it comes to, student work, right, we always have that we always have that turnover ultimately, right? Students graduate, things like that. Is there any like institutional knowledge or scaling that, any takeaways that might help, continuing this progress, this project going forward, thinking about, some of the, to-do lists and just the learning of the software itself to make sense.
Yeah, so just so that I can understand your question correctly, like what are some takeaways um and things to learn about the software so that we can help improve
Yeah, just your
promoting?
observations. Yeah, because you get all this experience, and then you'll graduate, and then someone else will hopefully take that on, right? But what are some of the takeaways, the challenges, or opportunities you think with this software, going forward with this journal format?
Yeah, so I think uh it's been a learning curve in terms of working with the software, understanding like how like the WordPress like format exactly works and how the formatting works for exactly like each chapter, each page, and making sure like it aligns that each like student section both stylistically and is format wise is the same as every other student section in each different chapter. And so like working with that has been a learning curve. And so it's been really useful in terms of, spending time and working with you in Pressbooks to get to learn that. But, I'm also looking to other ways to like sort of streamline the process. And I've sort of mentioned this to Dr. Fukushima as well, but I know UE and Pressbooks has an import function where hopefully where, I can the goal is that maybe I can use some of my computer science programming and something to format it in a way where we can just take all the students' PDF documents, put it in one document, and we can just import it all. And so that way, the process is way more streamlined. We don't have to do as much copy and pasting directly with UE and Pressbooks. And so I think and there's also with the import function, I like authors, and so it's just a matter of formatting it. And so like working with the software, there's even though there's a learning curve in terms of how to like do basic like operating and how to do basic uploading, there's still a lot more to learn on my end. And so I think I can definitely spend a bit more time in terms of, making sure what things we can do now to sort of streamline the process of uploading student submissions into the journal so that for future work, this will be a lot easier and we don't have to spend as much time, manually copying and pasting.
And one thing I want to add is that we actually have another undergraduate research leader that Kishan will be working with that will be taking on the task for next year. And so I think having overlap in students who are employed helps, as well as, yeah, so I think that would be one thing. And I apologize. My dog is very aggressively hungry. So she likes to make her opinions known. So apologies for that. But yeah, so I think having overlap in students as well as, we do have files that we archive. So Kishan's been able to access a file folder in Box. And so future students will access what Kishan's been able to work on. So that information won't be lost, but I do love efficiency. So, having Kishan work on that for us is fantastic.
Great, thanks for the insight.
It looks really fantastic, Kishan. It's awesome. Have you had to do any like graphic design for it as well?
I think just a little bit, but mostly Dr. Fukushima helps me out with that. So
Nice.
Yeah. Our cover page, actually, we worked with our university marketing folks to create that. And so so I have to give a shout out to Ann Dibble, who designed the mountain background that you see as the aesthetic. So there's other folks that get involved in this, and then they make it editable so we can just add text. Yeah.
So I just had one other question. And so I gather that these files are submitted. You're mentioning Box. Is that how the forms all come into you? I was just thinking about the submission process, right? So it might not be so Pressbooks related, but like you're saying, Kishan, about like formatting, making sure that each page or each chapter or each student work reflects the same format style. I was just thinking if there's any way to any takeaways about how these things are submitted and evaluated. Is there any kind of system you have in place that would then, be prior to actually putting into the press books?
Yeah, so we use FormStack right now. Submission, it's similar to Qualtrics, and so files come in that way. Our staff actually takes the lead. They're on point for that part of the process. We have automated messaging that goes out to faculty that lets them know that their student has submitted. And then the faculty then reaches out if they're like, what submission? Because then we're like, oh no, that means they didn't share it with you. So we do make it clear to the student they need to get it approved by their faculty before they submit. And the automated messaging suggests that the student should have done that already, and we can always connect them with the piece if they haven't reviewed it. Then what happens then is that submitted, the staff download everything, they put it into Box. Kishan then takes it from there and then uploads everything. So he takes it on the upload end. And then we go through it and then we finalize it, and then we send it out to our contributors for review before it goes live. I mean, it is technically live, but we're not promoting it. And so then that way they can provide any kind of edits or suggested changes. The worst would be to spell somebody's name wrong or to have an author who is a contributor missing. And so those kind of changes. And then sometimes people are like, whoops, I literally submitted the wrong file. And we're like, oh, okay, like let's fix that. So yeah, so that's kind of what we work on. That's kind of big, I guess, the kind of from the entry and the different kind of roles that people have. And so it is a little bit, yeah, they each have their own role. And then, yeah. I hope that answered your question. Yeah, but I think you could use Qualtrics or any kind of online submission form to receive the content. Because yeah, we're getting hundreds of submissions, right? And so it's a lot to keep track of. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions?
Oh, one thing I want to add because Kishan's very humble, but one of the other things that you need to do when you if folks are interested in doing a student journal using this format is there needs to be spaces where students actually are able to get feedback and support. So some of the things that Kishan has been doing is workshops, and that also helps to promote the opportunity to publish in the journal. It then gets published on our website. So then actually that same link that I shared with folks, if you look at it, you'll see that on the our website is that we literally now have a here it scrolls down like how to submit to the journal. And we're constantly learning too, as Kishan has pointed out, that things may change. And so we'll have to maybe update this in the future as well, because there are things we're like, oh, actually, we're now using newer features. And so so that's just something. And we also then archive our past issues here. And yeah, so just wanted to kind of share that's just something. We have clear guidelines on our website. So then that way students can know what they need to do. And then this gets updated when we start to realize students still have more questions. And so just a little bit about that. Yeah. So thank you, Kishan, for also doing workshops for us, because that helps students to know. And, that because sometimes maybe they don't want to read stuff. They just want to press a video and play and just listen.
That's fantastic. Thank you. I'm looking through all the stuff now. I'm getting distracted. Like, ooh. All right. Do we have any more questions? Okay. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Fukushima and Kishan. Let me go back here. And thank you so much, Dr. Greenman and James Richards, and Dr. Espen had to go to a different, had conflicting, but thank you to Dr. Espen as well. And thank you everyone for coming and participating. And we hope, thank you for sharing. And we hope you got some great ideas. And yeah, thank you.